Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you? Hope you are well by the grace of Almighty Allah. Today we discuss two CQ questions from chapter 2. It's about Hydra. First of all, an animal is named according to a monster of Greek mythology, sometimes moves slowly. Okay. So first is, what is hypostome? What is hypostome? Hypostome is the swelled colonial portion of Hydra's frontal body. It contains a circular roller opening and its center. Hypostome is the swelled colonial portion of Hydra's frontal body and it contains a circular roller opening and its center. Okay, and B is what is mean by nematocyst? The vascular thread contain sac within the cell is nematocyst and it contains toxic hyponotoxin which is made up with protein and phenol. A long narrow hollow thread and is situated at the frontal portion of sac and the base of the thread is known as shaft and the shaft contains three large and many small spikes and large spikes are barbs and small spikes are barbule. In a normal situation the thread, the shaft and the barb stay within the sac. Number C. Explain the special type of movement of the animal cited in the stem with illustration. Now the animal mentioned in the stem of Hydra and the special type of movement of this animal cited in the stem of looping. Looping মানে হচ্ছে হামাগুড়ি দিয়ে চলা। তো Hydra move by forming a loop in an insect larva-like manner, and usually when a long distance is required to pass, Hydra uses it. At first they stand up on the tentacles and touch the surface with the tentacles. Again, by bending the body as much as possible and toward the destination, and usually glutinant nematocyst helps to grab a hold of the surface. Then the muscular epithelial cells contract to bring the basal disc near to the tentacles. Thus loop is formed during this time, and then a Hydra again stands up in this place, and Hydra can form several similar loops to reach the destination. And D number is division of labor happens in a cellular level of the chited animal. Analyze. Hydra is a diploblastic animal. The outer layer is epiderm and the inner layer is endoderms, and thus two layers contain different types of cell. The division of the labor of those cells are given. That epitheliomuscular cell is the largest and mostly found cell in epidermis, and it protects the body by covering it, and it makes the body slippery, takes part in perspiration and facilitated in locomotion. And interstitial cell found both in epidermis and endodermis. If can be converted into genital organ, but secondary helps in the regeneration. Sensory cell found in both epidermis and endodermis, and it can send stimulation like heat, light, taxis, etc. From the environment towards the cell. And nerve cell is the identified both in epidermis and endodermis, and they can create response against respective stimulation, and it can coordinate among the response. Gland sets secret cells which facilitates mucus and different types of enzyme help in digestion, and Nizocyte cell is most found in epidermis, and predation, self-defense, and locomotion are the main function of it. Nutritive muscular cell facilitate food uptake, intracellular digestion, and change body shapes on demand, and it is found only a endodermis. Only a endodermis. Okay. Otherwise, Haida, this chapter has insects, some grasshopper, rui fish, and etc. Okay. Now we discuss another CQ. This is Hydra is a diploplastic microscope fresh water specimen, and the gastrodermis of the Hydra enclosed a central cavity in its body called gastrovascular cavity. So first of all, what is mesoglia? Mesoglia is a gelatinous substance between the ectoderm and endoderm of sponges or coelenterone. Sponges or coelenterone. Why cross-fertilization occurs in Hydra? When a progeny is formed from the fusion of sperm and ovum and sexual reproduction, Hydra does not have a permanent genital organ, and they are both unisexual and bisexual. The male and female reproductive organ of a bisexual Hydra does not mature in the same type, and so either way a Hydra needs to help to another one to reproduce, and in the case for both unisexual and bisexual one, so cross fertilization process occurs in Hydra. Number C, how the mentioned animal protect himself. The animal mentioned in the stem is Hydra, and the way Hydra protects itself is described below. Hydra, while protecting itself, use tentacles and nematocyst cells, and Hydra use these cells to protect themselves from the attack, and sometimes catch a prey and eat them. A Hydra usually floats in water while extending their tentacles to catch a prey. When a tentacle comes in close to contact with the attacker or prey, the penetrant type nematocyst eject its thread toward the prey. Then it can release hypotoxin to make the prey nerve. Then the volvent nematocyst grabs the prey, and the glutinant type of helps to keep the prey in place with its barb and thread and tentacles. Then bring the food near the oral opening, and Hydra can uptake the food, and gland cells secretes mucus which can keep the oral opening slippery. Construction or expansion of hypostome and the wall slipper oral cavity facilitate feeding, and the food reaches the coelenterone, and this is how Hydra drive away the attacker by secreting hypoprotein or eaten then or move away from the enemy. Okay, এটা হচ্ছে জাস্ট হাইডার প্রোটেস্টিং যেভাবে করছে টেন্টাকলস নেমাটোসিস সেলসের সাহায্যে, সেটাই বলা হয়েছে এখানে। নাম্বার ডি, ইজ দ্য মেনশন cavity complete the process of digestion analyze. And the cavity mentioned in the stem is coelentera, and hydrous digestion process does not only occur in coelentera because only extracellular digestion occur in coelentera. And extracellular digestion happens outside of the cells when prey enters the coelenterans, the oral opening close up, then the gland cells become activated and secrete enzymes which can kill the prey, and the flagellated nutritive cells create a water current in the coelentera which facilitates extensive mixing of food enzyme and makes it softer. Then the body wall undergoes contraction and expansion which turns the food into a liquid solution. Enzyme can contact protein hydrolysis to produce polypeptide, but some food portions are not digested here. And intracellular digestion occurs within the cells. The digested food from coelentera undergoes phagocytes by the pseudopodal nutritive cells of gastrodermis layer. The food chyme stays at the food vacuole of cells, and the cellular cytoplasm release enzyme to digest it, and complete digestion of food occurs here. An amino acid formed, the polypeptide and fatty acid and glycerol are formed from lipid, but Haida cannot digest carbohydrates. Okay, and other Haida it has um, grasshopper, rui fish, cockroach, etc. Like grasshopper, what is ommatidium? Each of the optical units that make up the compound eye of grasshopper is known as ommatidium. What is hemocoel? The primary body cavity of most invertebrates containing circulatory fluid is called hemocoel. Why does it mean by open circulation? Open circulation, এটা খুবই important একটা question. Open circulation is a system where blood, rather than being scaled tight in arteries and veins, and subsumes the body and be directly open to the environment at place such as the digestive tract. Open circulation system use lymph instead of blood. ওকে, অ্যান্ড এখানে আছে ইনসেক্টের ক্ষেত্রে আছে ইউনিক ভিজুয়াল অর্গান অ্যান্ড নিভেস্টেস। And why do you understand by hemocoel? Why do you understand by hemocoel? Hemocoel is a body cavity that contains blood or hemolymph or function as part of circulatory system. In many invertebrates, the oxygen is supplied directly to the organs, and that is the hemolymph circulars through the hemocoel and buzz the organ directly to the supply them with oxygen. Okay, bye bye, Allah Hafiz, assalamu alaikum.